Managing supply and demand. Learning objectives. To understand the concept of predictive variability, to analyze the impact of predictive variability in a supply chain, to understand the approaches in managing the supply in a supply chain, to understand the approaches in managing the demand in a supply chain. The learning outcomes are to have a basic understanding on the impact of variability in demand, to know the various approaches in managing the supply in supply chain, to know the various approaches in managing the demand in a supply chain. Introduction to supply chain. The supply chain involves in moving materials from the supplier point to the customer point through the intermediaries in a cost-effective manner to satisfy the customer. In this process, we can visualize the information flow, fund flow and material flow across the supply chain in both directions. The primary objective of supply chain is to satisfy the customer needs and generate profit. In a supply chain, we have discussed in the previous modules how demand forecasting and aggregate planning plays a very important role in meeting the expected demand of the supply chain. When the demand is stable, it is simple and easy to prepare the aggregate plan. But when the demand is not stable, the process becomes difficult and complex in preparing the aggregate plan. The variability in the expected demand may be due to a number of factors like seasonal factors and non-seasonal factors, which may be price, promotion and time. This variability may have an impact on the supply chain in meeting the expected demand. Hence, it is important to understand the concept of predictive variability. What is predictive variability? Predictive variability is defined as the change in demand which can be forecasted and met by proper planning of supply and demand management across the supply chain. What is the impact of predictive variability in a supply chain? Normally, manufacturers plan for a constant capacity and produce the products accordingly. When we look into the products which have seasonal demand, the manufacturer in the supply chain faces a tough situation in planning the production as the demand in the peak period is high, leading to stockout situation, and during non-peak period the demand is low, leading to accumulation of inventory. These situations are a challenge for the manufacturer to satisfy the demand across the supply chain. Similarly, when a retailer offers a promotion, the demand for a product is likely to increase. This increase in demand is not anticipated by the manufacturer as he may not know the promotion offer given by the retailer, leading to short supply from the manufacturer. When a manufacturer uses a pricing strategy to push the product into the market, the demand is likely to increase as the customer would want to get the price advantage. This also increases the demand and will have a significant impact on the members of the supply chain, especially the supply side. In both the situations, an increase in sales will result in more profit. To manage such situations, it is always better to have an informed and collaborative decision across the members of the supply chain, which will help the supply chain to improve its efficiency. The variability in demand which is caused across the supply chain affects them, and it can be offset by proper supply management and demand management. Let us discuss them in detail one by one. Supply management. When there is variation in demand, the manufacturing company in a supply chain can meet the fluctuating demand using two strategies, namely production capacity strategy and inventory strategy. Let us discuss the production capacity strategy. By varying the production capacity, the manufacturer can meet the change in demand either by increasing production or by decreasing production. Increase in production capacity may be with additional capacity when there is increase in demand is consistent over a period of time, or if the increase in demand is only for a short period, then the manufacturer uses overtime or subcontracting as a strategy to offset the demand. When the demand decreases, then the manufacturer reduces the production by laying off the workforce to match the demand, resulting in ideal capacity. This strategy helps the company to minimize the cost and optimize the profit of the supply chain. In this episode, we have discussed what is the impact of predictive variability on the supply chain and a basic introduction to supply management. In the next episode, we will discuss the different approaches in supply management in supply chain. Thank you.